discuss a very small topic but a very important topic. The topic is regarding what would be an overview of your preparation for your upcoming UPSC examination, specifically for your 2024 UPSC examination for your history preparation. Okay? So what we are going to do in this video today, we will understand how to start our history preparation, how to continue with it and how to finish with it, because as you know, history is a vast syllabus. So preparing with history is not so easy when we start at first, but when we understand how to prepare a history syllabus or how to prepare history for UPSC, when you understand first, then you understand how to start your preparation, you go on with the preparation and you continue and you finish it. So basically to start with your history preparation, you need to understand first how to start it. So let me go ahead with that a small slide I have prepared for you that will tell you it will give you an overview. Complete syllabus to nahi hai, but it will give you a complete overview regarding what are your main things that you should study while you prepare for your history. First of all, you need to understand history is divided into three parts. When we talk about history for our UPSC preparation, mainly it has been divided into three parts. First we have ancient Indian history, then we have medieval Indian history, and then we have modern Indian history. Okay. So obviously you understand that when we start our history, we start from ancient India and we end with modern India, and medieval is your the middle part that we prepare. Along with it, we have one more important part that we prepare all through in this three topic, which is known as art and culture, which is also very important for your history preparation. So starting with ancient Indian history, which we in Hindi we call it Prachin Itihas. Why I use that word Prachin Itihas? Because when we say Prachin Itihas, iska matlab you understand that I am talking about a time period which is like very years or a long time ago we can talk about. So starting with ancient Indian history, when you start preparing your ancient Indian history, that's the first time when you open your history book and you start preparing for your UPSC, okay, for history. So when you start with ancient Indian history, you always start with prehistoric period, mane when history ki shuruaat nahi hui thi, when your history didn't start at all, that period of point we start preparing. So that means when you start preparing for ancient Indian history, the first topic that you start with is your Stone Age. Okay, I hope you can see whatever I have written on the board. Stone Age. Okay, Stone Age. Why I call it a Stone Age, I'll tell you while I go ahead with the topic. But when we start preparing, we start with Stone Age. So dated back, if you go for Stone Age, you will see when you start preparing, your Stone Age goes back to your Stone Age goes back to at least 20 lakh years back from today's date. Okay, and when you start preparing, you will also see that this period, the period that I am talking about, 20 lakh years back, it has been divided into two halves. Okay, so our now period and our period that we had in prehistoric India or our ancient India, it has been divided into two halves. One is called BC, that means before the birth of the Christ. So I hope you know everyone, Christ माने यहाँ पे Jesus के जन्म के पहले का time period की बात करें. So before the birth of the Christ, and another is the time period that is called AD, which is like the time period which is going on till date, and the full form is Anno Domino. ठीक है? So Anno Domino means the year or the age of the God. माने Jesus के when Jesus Christ was born, उसके बाद the time period that has been started and it is going on till date, it is known as the year or the age of the God in the earth. ठीक है? That's why it is called Anno Domino and AD. So talking about BC, when we talking about the time period BC, which is before the birth of the Christ, that time period is been segregated in a different way than the time period that you have in AD. So basically when we go 20 lakh years back and we come from that 20 lakh years back towards forward, it is not actually coming forward. In BC, the time era is coming backward. Mane, when we talk about 20 lakh years back, if you talk, just give me a moment. Okay, so 20 lakh years back, if you talk about this time period, and when we go ahead, so 20 lakh years back in a stone age, sorry, in a stone age, we have started preparing with our first topic. We start preparing with our first topic, which is called Paleolithic Age. Okay? So Paleolithic Age again dates back 20 lakh years back. So when we go ahead with Paleolithic Age, basically we come from 20 lakh years back to backward. Forward नहीं जाते, हम backward आते. जैसे कि right now we are going forward. Maybe somebody is been born in 2020, somebody has been born in 1995, someone is born in 1997. But then from that time period we are moving forward. Okay, 1995, 1996, 1997, 2000, 2005, 10, 50, and then today we are in 2022. So we are coming from backward to forward. But before the birth of the Christ time period, when we are talking about BC time period, the time period is actually coming from backward to forward. So 20 lakh years back, we started with our Paleolithic Age. Now what is the Paleolithic Age basically? Paleolithic Age is the period when human beings, we just evolved in this world, as we talk about the history. So when we evolved in this world, we were not basically a proper human. We were living our life like hominines. Hominines का मतलब है आदि मानव का नाम तो सुना ही होगा आप लोगों ने. आदि मानव की बात करते हैं जब, तो उसको हम कहते हैं hominines. We call it hominines. So when we evolved first time in our world, in this world, we already had living creature existing in this world. For example, plants, nature, animals. So if suppose a child has been born in a family, okay, when the child grows up, his or her growing period is basically he or she replicates his parents or his family or the environment where that child is been born. So when we were born, basically we already had living creatures existing in this world. So when we were born, we were also replicating those creatures who were already existing in this world. So basically when we were born, we were not basically a human being, you can say, but yes, we were half human and we used to behave like half animal. Obviously हम जिनको देख के will grow up or we are existing in the world, we will try to replicate in the same way. But God has given we human being a special feature that is called we human being will love evolving in time to time. For example, today if you talk about 2022, talk about the time period to 20 years or 25 years, 22 years back. We did not have mobile phone in our country or in the world, okay? But that time we had landline. But if I talk about the year back to 1995, we had landline. Then basically landline got evolved, थोड़ा सा modification हुआ, थोड़ा सा changes आए, and we came into wireless cordless phone, और जिसको हम कहते हैं, we call it wireless phone. Okay, few years wireless phone से हमने काम चलाया, and then when we moved on bit further, we came in 2000, we evolved, and now we had a phone which is called a cell phone or a mobile phone. The reason why we call it a cell phone or a mobile phone, because this is a phone which we can carry anywhere in our area or in our country or in our state, and still we will have people who can call us and who can take information. So basically we had telephone, which was with wire, so which we can only walk in few meters around nearby us, and we can talk over the phone and we can receive a call from someone who called. Then few days back we changed ourselves, okay, we evolved, we got used to the changes around us, and we evolved, we came up with new techniques, new ideas, okay, as we are keen to evolving nature. So when we evolved, we came up with a technique where we can have a landline but without wire. So with that technique, we can go at least for few meters distance, and we can use that landline and we can talk. Okay, but we don't have to stay nearby that area only. We can go a few hundred meters or 200 meters distance, and then we can talk while using that cordless phone. Okay. Then few years later, we again got evolved with the changes. We came up with new technologies, new interesting things, and we discovered something which is called mobile phone or cell phone. So what happened? Changes के साथ पहले we used to stay in our own few diameter of the area where we are standing at this moment, and we have to talk over the phone with other people. Then we have came up with a new technology where we can just go for few 10 meters or 20 meters or maybe probably for 100 meters far, and we can, if we want, we can talk to someone in private also. Maybe there are people who is sitting nearby the base where you have to keep your cordless phone. You don't want to talk there, but then you can go to the other room and you can talk over the cordless phone. Then we came up with another new advanced technique where we have come up with cell phone or mobile phone. Through this mobile phone or cell phone, we can go to anywhere now in this country or in this state, and still we will have our people who wants to talk to us and who can call us and get information or give us information through the mobile phone. Reason why I told you this small statement is because this period, which is known as basically Stone Age, in this period of Stone Age, or which is actually known as Prehistoric Period, is period where you will basically see people evolving from being hominids, being Adi Manav, to a normal human being by they are trying to be a normal human being, and how they have evolved completely and became the human being who is actually keen with evolving or modification of life or changes in life and coming up with new or better techniques. Okay, so this is the period, prehistoric period, basically where we see people evolving and changing and coming up with new techniques, new ideas, and from Adi Manav they basically become human being, insan bante hain. Okay, so this period has got three parts, sir and ma'am, which is divided. Stone Age is divided into three parts, or prehistoric period is divided into three parts. First of all, we had Paleolithic period. Okay, then we had Neolithic period. Sorry, Paleolithic. Then we have Mesolithic. Then we have Neolithic. So what is the difference? I'll just give you a brief discussion about this. In Paleolithic, as I told you, we were behaving we were human, but then we had a behavior or somewhat the features or our activities like animals. As we are keen of replicating other people, so the creatures. So when we were born in this country, we already had animals who has been living in the country, and we replicated them. Okay. Then we move on to Mesolithic period. We go to Mesolithic period. Okay. In Mesolithic, we have evolved a bit. Okay, and Adi Manav se we are trying to evolve into human, but then there are still some changes that is needed to be done. So Mesolithic period is basically the period where things changes from Paleolithic to Neolithic. So the final stage is our Neolithic, where actually we become a proper human being. Okay, and we start living settled life. हमने घर बनाया, we made a home, we discovered wheels, we started doing agricultural practice, we started domesticating animals, we started living in a proper society, proper settlement, everything a normal human being does, but maybe not with so much advanced techniques, but the things that the normal human being done, we did it in the Neolithic period. So understand, sir and ma'am, what I am talking about. The first we start with prehistoric period, where we see a proper evolvement of people from Adi Manav phase to a proper human being phase. Okay. Then after completing your prehistoric period, you go ahead and you start with the proper civilization, sabhyata jisko kehte hain, which is called as Indus Valley civilization. So it is said that Indus Valley civilization is basically the time period where the Indian were actually living a urbanized life or an advanced life, जिसको हम कहते हैं शहरी तरीके से जीना, an urbanized life, an advanced life, and it is said that Indus Valley civilization is one of the first modernized civilization or urbanized civilization that world has ever witnessed. So in Indus Valley civilization, our way of you can say our culture was completely different in few ways. For example, the time period that we are going through, it is a time period where you basically see both male and female people are individually walking in the same direction, with the same level, with the same status. So we don't have basically any difference between any gender in the society, but still we are following a society which we call it as patriarchal society, Purush Pradhan Samiti, the home or the society where actually our father our husband, our any male member in the society, in the family or in the society, who is actually senior to us, or who is actually the main, you can say the bread earner in the family, is actually running the society or the home. Still, we are in 2022, we are living an advanced or a forward life, but still we are following the same routine, okay, or the same, you can say the same culture. But if we talk about Indus Valley civilization, that was the time period people say their culture was a bit different, and they believed in providing a equal status or support to both both female and the male. So it was the society where Matri Shakti or the matriarchals were given the more empowerment. Their decisions were being prioritized, and basically the society was according to the decisions or the ideas that were given by the mothers in the society. They had a proper town planning system, proper drainage system, proper water management system. There are a lot of things that Indus Valley civilization was witnessing at that time period, and that is the reason that why Indus Valley civilization is known as one of the advanced civilization. One thing I would like to point out, as I said, BC का जो era है, जो अभी इस समय चल रहा है, it comes from backward, so basically from forward towards backward. So here you can see you started your time period from 20 lakh years. If you remember, I told you the Paleolithic. Then when we move towards Mesolithic, it comes from 20 lakh years backward till 8,000 years back, okay. And then when we go from 8,000 to Neolithic, it basically goes from 8,000 to 3,000 years back. So by the time we reach Indus Valley civilization, it is a place where we have reached in the time period of 3000 BC, okay. So in Indus Valley civilization, our time period starts from 3000 BC till 1500 BC. So आपको समझ में आ रहा है how we are moving from forward to backward in BC era, before the birth of the Christ era. In Indus Valley civilization, the basic timeline that we have followed is from 3000 to 1500 BC. First Indus Valley site that was discovered was Harappa. It was discovered in 1921. So before Harappa was discovered, it was discovered by an archaeologist. His name was Mr. Dayaram Sahani. He during the British period, उस समय हमारे देश में first time archaeological survey of India का जो you can say the department was newly you can say it was newly open at that point of time, and the first archaeologist Dayaram Sahani, he was the one who actually discovered in 1921 the first Indus Valley site, which is known as Harappa. That's why in some time we also regard Indus Valley civilization as Harappa civilization, because it was the first site that was been discovered. लेकिन 1921 से पहले, the time before 1921, we believe that the first civilization that basically started in India after Stone Age or prehistoric period was Vedic period, okay. So Vedic period, it started from 1500 BC and it ended by 500 BC with the Mahajanapadas and the decline of the Mahajanapadas. So 1500 BC में when first time Aryans, you must have surely heard about Aryans. So Aryans came to our country. It has been said the Aryans came to our country from Central Asia. So when first time Aryans came in our country, that was actually the time period when we start the time period of Vedic age, okay, Vedic Yug ki shuruaat, Vedic period ki shuruaat, okay, from 50, and that was the time which is called 1500. So 1500 BC was the time when Aryans first came to India from Central Asia, and they started contributing in our Indian society through their knowledge. And those knowledges accumulated and it's been turned into Vedas. And we know we have 4 Vedas in our Indian society, which is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharva Veda. So the Vedic period is basically the period that is that has witnessed the the evolving or that has witnessed the making of our 4 major Vedas, which is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. So after by the end of the Vedic period, that means when we come by 500 BC, we have seen that the Aryans, who basically came from Central Asia, the moment they came in our country, obviously they came with a huge community, and gradually many people from Central Asia came, they settled in our country, they started colonizing in our country. Their descendants increased in our country. So people started forming small communities, or you can say small states or princely states among many places in northern India. Those small places or princely states were in the beginning called as Janpadas, which actually turned into, later it turned into 16 major or greater kingdoms, which is known as Mahajanapadas. Now, by the end of 500 or 400 BC, the Mahajanapadas mainly there were 16 Mahajanapadas. By the end of this time period, all those 16 Mahajanapadas actually declined, and gradually it was only left with 2 or 3 major Mahajanapadas. This was one important name which you will obviously understand or know. It is Magad Rajya. So by the time when we completed the Mahajanapadas, many great kingdoms started in our country. One of the main or major Indian greater kingdom was Mauryan Empire, which we talk about, and it was from Magad actually. So we talk about Mauryans, then your Gupta period comes, then Harshvardhana's period comes, and many major kingdom comes. And then if you go to the south part, we can see Cholas, the Sangam age, the Cholas, the Pandyas, the Chalukyas. All this period accumulating together talks about your ancient Indian history and their kingdoms and their empires. So when you, and yes, one major thing you also remember, in the beginning of the ancient Indian history, we actually don't see any kind of temple architecture or any kind of such things that is related to religious architecture. But then people were religious since Stone Age period, and majorly we have seen people being religious from Indus Valley civilization, where they used to worship a god like Pashupati Shiva, or you can say Mata Shakti. They used to worship them. But when we talk about proper kingdoms in ancient India, we have seen a major witness of temple architecture from the beginning of Gupta period, and also major reformations in tax structure. Kar Bhugtan, the tax that we till date we pay to the government for any kind of income, house tax, land tax, any kind of sales tax. This kind of tax has been majorly seen from ancient India. Mainly in Gupta period, they had from Gupta period of ancient India, they had a proper tax reformation where people used to pay tax for doing any kind of income or any kind of trading or agriculture. Tax was one of the main main system in the economic system of ancient India. So these are few things that you need to study. Along with it, you also have to study regarding the art and culture of ancient period, where you will see different form of cultural innovation regarding in ancient period of time. You will see different temple architecture. You go to South Indians, there has South Indian part of history. You will see different kind of temple architecture, different places that were being made or built during the ancient Indian period. Many historic places has been built or made, or temple has been built or made during the ancient Indian history. Those are the things that you need to cover when you study your ancient Indian history. Now by the time we reach 600, so now if you see, our ancient Indian history started from 20 lakh years. Gradually we are moving backward. We have come in 500 BC. Now we are coming backward again. 500 BC, so obviously from 500 BC we go till 400 BC, then 300, 200, 100, and at certain point we reach 0. Once we reach 0, our new era starts. Our new timeline or time period starts. That starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is the time period we call AD, Anno Domino time period. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 200, 500, 600, 1000, 2000 करके आज हम today we reached in the time period of 2022. Okay. So that is how our time period actually came from 20 lakh years back till 2022. Now talking about when I talk about medieval Indian history, अभी हमारा we have completed with the Indian history, ancient Indian history part. Now I come to medieval Indian history. So you just remember one thing in medieval Indian history. First of all, when your medieval Indian history starts, first thing is that the day in the world the Islam religion was born, or the rise of Islam religion happened in the world. That was the time period. Basically we count it as medieval Indian history. So by the time 600 to 700 AD, that is the time period when Islam religion was first born, and in the country, in the Arab country, by Prophet Muhammad, and that was the time period when gradually the Islamic rulers of Arab, they started moving or marching forward towards our country. इधर अरब के देश है, तो इधर से they gradually come in. They are gradually coming. If you follow the map, you will understand. Suppose if this is our country, India's map. If this side is the Arab country, they are moving. They are marching gradually towards our country through the path of Sindh. That time Sindh was the part of Indian territory. Sindh, Pakistan and all. उस समय पाकिस्तान के आगे कुछ था नहीं, तो सिंध का जो क्षेत्र था, these were the places basically which was covering the complete Indian territory. So from through Afghanistan, through Sindh, they were trying to enter in India, and gradually they entered in India. They started their first colonization in India, or the first empire that has been started by the Islamic rulers in our country, which is known as Delhi Sultanate, and it was been started by Qutbuddin Aibak. So talking about their invasion, when once Islam religion was started, Prophet Muhammad, the person who was the guardian, or who was in charge of Islam religion, for spreading the message of brotherhood through Islam religion, what he did, he started a new position which is called Khalifa, the position of the caliphates. Now the first Khalifa known in the history was Abu Bakr, and along with him many more Khalifas were created. But gradually, when time passed by, those Khalifas, they turned into rulers of Arab countries and their nearby territories. For example, Turkeys, or Arab countries, or all the Arab countries that were involved at that time, those Khalifas became the ruler. So once they became the ruler, they started spreading in the nearby areas and the other countries that they came to know, where there are resources or properties which can help them to grow as their empire. So gradually from their part, they started descending, or started moving towards Afghanistan, and from Afghanistan, many Islamic religion rulers were born, and they have formed their own territory or their own empire. And gradually through Sindh, gradually through the territory of Sindh, the first Islamic person who invaded India for the first time was Muhammad bin Qasim, under the leadership of Umayyad Khalifa Walid. He was the Sultan of Afghanistan. He was the Sultan of few areas in Afghanistan. He captured. He was Arab Sultan actually. Arab dynasty was in his under his control, and in many areas of Afghanistan, he already captured those areas under his ruling. Then gradually he asked his commander general, his name was Muhammad bin Qasim, to attack India through the routes of Sindh. And Muhammad bin Qasim was the first Islamic person who actually entered India through the territory of Sindh. And at that point, the last Hindu Brahmin ruler was ruling Sindh territory. His name was Dahir. He defeated Dahir, invaded the areas of Sindh and its nearby territories, and Muhammad bin Qasim was there for a few years in the areas of Sindh. So after Muhammad bin Qasim, the major ruler who came to India was Mahmud Ghazni. If you have heard about it, Mahmud Ghazni, actually his main name is Muhammad Ghaznavi. He was from Ghazni territory, so इसको Mahmud Ghazni कह के भी बुलाया जाता है. Mahmud Ghazni actually from 1000 to 1027 BC, he actually attacked India for 17 times, out of which 16th number attack was very devastating, where he destroyed the Somnath temple in Gujarat very badly. Moving ahead, we have witnessed another Islamic ruler who came to India was Muhammad Ghori. You must have heard about him. You must have heard about the famous battle that Muhammad Ghori had with Prithviraj Chauhan, the first battle of Tarain and the second battle of Tarain, where in the first battle he was been defeated by Prithviraj, and in the second battle he defeated Prithviraj and killed him. Now later, Muhammad Ghori's commander general was Qutbuddin Aibak. After his death, Muhammad Ghori ordered him to capture many areas in India. He captured many areas in India. Then he after the death of Qutbuddin, he started his first empire or the first Islamic empire was started in India was Delhi Sultanate. Never forget this. First Islamic person who came in India was Muhammad bin Qasim. First Islamic ruler who started his own dynasty or empire was Muhammad Qutbuddin Aibak, who started his own dynasty which is known as slave dynasty or Mamluk dynasty, और जो साम्राज्य था, जो you can say the empire जो था, it was Delhi Sultanate. So in Delhi Sultanate, we have witnessed many dynasties like slave dynasty, Khilji dynasty. You must have heard about Alauddin Khilji and all the Khilji dynasty. Tughlaq dynasty, you must have heard about Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So Tughlaq dynasty, Lodi dynasty, and by the time Lodi dynasty's last ruler Ibrahim Lodi came, Babur, you have heard about Babur. Babur was already has attacked in many nearby territories of India. So Babur invaded India in 1526 AD. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat, and then he started his own empire, which is known as Mughal Empire in India. So Mughal Empire has again witnessed many great rulers, sir, like sir and ma'am, like Babur we have seen, then his son Humayun came. In the middle we have also seen another great ruler whose name is Sher Shah Suri. During Sher Shah Suri, you can see that Sher Shah Suri has done many quite you can say advanced things in his during his time period. He has completely changed the pattern of tax system. What it did in the previously, tax was very important in our country during the previous rulers time, during the ancient India time, during the Delhi Sultanate time as well. Tax was very important in our country. But what Sher Shah Suri did, now the tax system he converted into writing pattern. Whatever will happen, it will not be done by talking. It will, everything would be written in a written form or in a written document. जैसे आज के ज़माने में होता है, in a written document, in a written agreement, everything would be done. ठीक है? So Sher Shah Suri has tried to, you can say his way of pattern of the way he started his policies in the society or the economic policies were much advanced than the previous rulers, or much better, you can say. ठीक है? Plus Sher Shah Suri has also built the great GT road, the great GT road, जिसको हम Grand Trunk Road कहते हैं. हमारे Asia is one of the oldest and longest road in the world. Asia is one of the oldest and the longest road has been built by Sher Shah Suri. आगे बढ़ेंगे, we'll see that you will see that Akbar came. So in Akbar's time period, history has witnessed one of the most historical era, as Akbar believed in power politics. Okay, Akbar not only believed in ruling the country, but he also believed in power politics, due to which he started creating alliances and friendly agreements or treaties with his nearby Hindu rulers or any other nearby rulers. So Akbar period has witnessed many great things. For an historical period, it has been called as Akbar has created many new policies, religious policies, and that also not only for Islam religion, but also for the people who was following Hindu religion. Also he has come up with many good religious policies, many good you can say land revenue policies, better rank system, जिसको हम मनसबदारी system कहते हैं. In the Mughal period we used to call it मनसबदारी system, and military में जो हम ranks देते हैं उसको it is called मनसबदारी system, जो पहले भी हुआ था, but that time it was been much more reformed during Akbar's period. Then we after Akbar, his son Shah Jahan came. Then his son Humayun came. I'm so sorry. After Akbar, his son Shah Jahan came. Okay. Then gradually Aurangzeb came. Okay. And Jahangir came. Jahangir के बाद Shah Jahan came. Shah Jahan के बाद Aurangzeb came. ठीक है. After Aurangzeb, basically after the death of Aurangzeb, actually Mughal was there in our country for 150 years more, but gradually they declined due to weak and you can say unsuccessful successor. And gradually you will see when you study modern India, Mughals have given a British East India Company who first came to trade. So